Think about the last time you were hungry. You opened your refrigerator. There was meat inside. You didn't think about it. You pulled it out, cooked it, and ate it. Maybe 30 minutes of effort. But 30,000 years ago, getting that same meal meant standing in an open field, armed with only a sharpened rock, staring at something the size of a bus, something that weighed 6 tons, with tusks longer than you were tall, and it had no plans of being anyone's dinner. So, here's the question that has haunted archaeologists for over a century. How did we survive that moment? The answer was never brute strength. It was something far stranger. And by the end of this, it will make you look at your own body differently. In 1995, in Schöningen, Germany, workers digging in a coal mine found something unexpected. 6 to 7 feet long, carefully shaped wood, tapered at both ends. Weight concentrated at the front, exactly like a modern javelin. These were 9 complete wooden spears and throwing sticks. Scattered all around them were the butchered remains of 50 horses. One horse pelvis still had a spear embedded in it. These were not simple clubs or jabbing sticks. They were aerodynamically engineered throwing weapons. Their makers understood stability, balance, and trajectory long before physics even had a name. These weapons were dated to around 300,000 years old, making it the oldest complete hunting arsenal ever found. This painted a clear picture in the minds of researchers. This was a planned, coordinated mass hunt. Someone designed that hunt before it ever happened. Multiple people were assigned positions, executed as a single operation. But a spear only works if you can get close enough. A mammoth can easily see you from 200 meters away. Most megafauna will flee before a hunter ever gets within range. So, some hunters solved the problem by never getting close at all. In 2019, construction workers in Tultepec, Mexico, hit ancient bones 10 feet below the surface. Scientists spent 10 months excavating what came next. 2 enormous circular pits, 82 feet across, walls cut at a perfect 90-degree angle into the earth. Inside it, 824 mammoth bones from 14 individuals. These pits were not a natural formation. They were dug entirely by human hands using stone tools, used to trap and kill mammoths for over 500 years, generation after generation, returning to the same spot because it worked. But how do you push a 9-ton animal into a hole? Researchers quickly reconstructed exactly how they did it. Hunters split into different teams. They surrounded the mammoth on all sides. They used torches and extreme noise, fire appearing on one side, shouting on the other. To the mammoth, every direction suddenly felt dangerous, except one. That direction led straight to the edge of the pit, and for the first time, humans could bring down a mammoth without ever getting close. But in other parts of the world, hunters discovered something deadlier. In Canada, there is a cliff that killed animals for 6,000 years. It's called head-smashed-in buffalo jump. Weeks before the hunt, tribal members would walk the land and build stone towers called cairns, stretching for nearly 2 miles. Then, one of the fastest young men was chosen. Dressed in bison skin, he stood between the herd and the cliff. When the signal came, hunters appeared from every direction, creating chaos. The herd panicked and ran towards the man in the bison skin, who then ran for his life toward the cliff edge and dove into a cranny in the rock at the last second. The herd followed him over. Once a herd starts moving at full speed, the front cannot stop. The fall was between 10 and 18 meters. Some died instantly. Many survived the impact, but waiting hunters would finish the hunt. A single event could yield over 40,000 kilograms of meat. All of these strategies had one massive limitation. They took too much time and required huge groups of people. Relying purely on physical muscle and environments was a huge gamble. Because the human brain was meant for more, a cognitive breakthrough was needed to close the distance. We needed a mechanical advantage to extend our reach, making survival and acquiring meat much easier because an impossible distance still stood between hunter and prey, and strategic planning became more important than brute strength. The primitive spear evolved into a perfectly engineered weapon, allowing Homo sapiens to hunt with unmatched discipline, while Neanderthals still relied on the savage close-range club. But humanity was about to unlock a new level. The frontal lobe expanded to master foresight and planning, while heavy muscle caused Neanderthals to overheat and exhaust quickly. Sapiens executed coordinated plans before a weapon was even raised. perfecting the systematic ambush using raw intelligence. Every problem was solved by cognitive thought processes, abandoning the savage jabbing stick forever for a lethal projectile thrown with explosive force, launching coordinated attacks through systematic funnel formations, because throwing by hand still had a distance limit. Against the fastest prey on the savannah, like the kudu, it was a brutal struggle, leaving behind trails of bones. Then came a stick with a hook at the end, the Atlatl. Here is the principle. Your arm is a lever. The Atlatl adds a second lever to the system, extending your effective arm length by over 2 feet. The dart flexes deeply on launch like a bow, exactly like a tightly wound metal spring, launching a dart at over 100 miles per hour, completely accurate at 50 meters, and absolutely lethal at 100 meters. But what makes it truly remarkable is where they found it. In Europe, in Africa, in Asia, and the Americas, entirely separate cultures across the globe, with absolutely no contact with each other, on completely opposite ends of the planet, all arriving at the exact same lethal design. But of all the hunting methods humans ever invented, the one that reveals the most is just the human body. In the 1980s, in the Kalahari Desert, an anthropologist walked through the brutal, empty heat to study the sand bushmen, one of the last groups practicing an ancient technique known as persistence hunting. A hunter selected a kudu antelope in the distance. He then began to run at a steady rhythm, not sprinting, not charging, just a slow, controlled jog, moving forward at a calm, perfectly steady, unbroken pace beneath the brutal, relentless midday African sun. At first, the kudu easily bounded away. It was vastly faster than the human. In seconds, it disappeared, leaving the hunter totally alone. But he simply followed the tracks patiently, hour after hour, without ever stopping. Temperatures often exceeded 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Under that extreme heat, most animals face a deadly problem. They cannot cool themselves efficiently while running. Four-legged mammals regulate heat, mainly by panting. But panting is biologically synchronized with their running stride. At a full gallop, their breathing becomes heavily restricted, but humans evolved differently. We have up to 5 million sweat glands. This gives us a unique biological cooling advantage. Our sweating system is nearly unmatched by any other animal. Our breathing is completely independent from our stride. We can inhale and exhale freely while moving, maintaining a relentless, constant, steady pace. Our Achilles tendons act exactly like biological metal springs. With every single effortless step we take, our gluteus maximus, the largest muscle in the human body, exists primarily to stabilize our upper body while running. We are not built to sprint. We are biologically built to outlast. And that is exactly what the hunter did. For 2 to 5 relentless hours, covering up to 25 punishing miles, the kudu kept escaping, stumbling, and weaving. Each sprint raised its body temperature dangerously high until its brain experienced a complete cognitive shutdown. Its front legs buckled under its own weight. The massive animal collapsed helplessly from hyperthermia. After hours of being relentlessly chased across the plains, the hunter walked up and delivered the final respectful blow. Realizing the insane evolutionary power hidden inside his own body, it makes you look at your own body differently. But the final piece of evidence isn't a weapon or trap, or a pile of shattered megafauna bones. It's a painting from Sulawesi, Indonesia, depicting primitive stick figures holding spears, made at least 44,000 years ago, showing multiple hunters strategically surrounding animals simultaneously, proving total strategic coordination. It's absolute tactical genius, coordinated to surround 2 separate prey at once. And here is what makes it truly mind-blowing. This painting was made before the hunt, a perfect sign of foresight and strategy. 44,000 years ago, people stood inside a cave, fully engaged in a strategic planning session, saying, "Here is where you stand, and here is where I stand, and here is exactly what we're going to do." Upgrading our primitive software forever, mastering foresight, planning, and coordination. Standing tall with ultimate cognitive mastery, separating modern logic from ancient fear. This is the cognitive blueprint, where the brain finally outweighed brute muscle, systematically coordinating to push prey into traps, leaving the savage club behind forever, taking full control of our evolutionary destiny, uniting the human tribe through progress, proving ultimate control over our prehistoric minds. This is the story of our sapien senses.